Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly, maybe sipping your morning coffee and wondering, am I doing this right? Will I look back someday and wish I'd done things differently? Retirement is supposed to be our golden chapter, a time to finally breathe, explore, and savor life. But too often, I meet folks who say, I wish I'd known, or if only I'd. Regrets have a way of creeping in when we least expect them. The good news? They don't have to. Today, we're talking about 5 retirement regrets to avoid, so you can live your next chapter with joy, not what-ifs. These aren't just my opinions. They're lessons from hundreds of retirees I've spoken to over the years. People like you and me who've shared their I wish I'd moments so we can learn from them. Let me start with a story. My friend Clara retired at 65 with big plans. Road trips, painting classes, weekends with her grandkids. But by 70, she confided in me. I feel stuck, like I'm watching life happen through a window. Know what held her back? 2 regrets we'll talk about today, and 2 you can avoid starting right now. The first regret? Not building a financial safety net that fits your life. Now I'm not talking about stockpiling millions. Clara had savings, but she hadn't planned for the unexpected, like her husband's health scare or rising property taxes. Suddenly, her fun fund became a fix-it fund, and those road trips postponed indefinitely. Here's the thing. Financial peace isn't about how much you have. It's about knowing your money aligns with the life you want. Maybe that means downsizing sooner, meeting with a fee-only financial planner, or simply tracking your spending for 30 days. One retiree I know, Frank, uses a 3-jar system, one for bills, one for adventures, and one for just in case. It's not fancy, he says, but I sleep like a baby. Now, the second regret hits closer to home, literally, neglecting your health until it's a crisis. Clara admitted she'd canceled her annual checkups for years. I felt fine, she said. But when a fall landed her in rehab, she realized, I used to tend my garden every day. Why didn't I tend to myself? Your health isn't just a checklist. It's your ticket to the moments that matter. Dancing at your grandchild's wedding, hiking that trail, or even bending down to pet the dog without wincing. Start small. A 10-minute walk while listening to your favorite songs, swapping one processed meal for veggies grown in your own yard, or finally booking that dental appointment you've put off. My neighbor Ray, at 73, calls these his non-negotiable minutes. They're mine, he says, like a meeting with the CEO of Me, Inc. Clara's turning things around now. She's using apps to track her savings and health goals. And yes, she finally took that road trip to the Grand Canyon. But her story begs the question, what's quietly slipping through your fingers? Time with loved ones? A dream you've shelved? That's where we'll go next. Because retirement isn't just about avoiding regrets. It's about filling your days with moments that make you think, I'm so glad I did this. And trust me, the best is yet to come. You know, one of the most beautiful letters I've ever received came from a woman named Helen. She wrote, retirement gave me time, but it took my people. At first, I didn't understand, until she explained. After decades of work friendships and school events, her world had quietly shrunk to 4 walls and a TV. I didn't realize how lonely I was, she said, until I couldn't remember the last time I laughed with someone who knew me before my hair turned gray. That brings us to our third retirement regret, letting relationships fade without nurturing them. It's so easy to drift, isn't it? We tell ourselves, they're busy, or I'll call tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next month, and suddenly, it's been years. Helen's wake-up call came when she missed her best friend's 70th birthday party. Not because she couldn't go, but because she wasn't invited. We'd just lost touch, she said. Here's the good news. Reconnecting doesn't require grand gestures. Start with a thinking of you text. Or better yet, A handwritten note. My Uncle Walt, at 78, hosts a monthly soup and stories potluck. Everyone brings a can of soup and a memory to share. It's not fancy, he says, but it keeps our hearts warm. Even if you're not the host type, try setting a connection alarm on your phone. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., call someone you love. Not sure what to say? Try. I was remembering that time we... Nostalgia is a bridge, friends. Walk across it. Now, let's talk about the fourth regret, one that stings in hindsight. Not pursuing the passions you sidelined for someday. Helen's postcard had a painting of the Eiffel Tower on the front. Turns out, she'd dreamed of studying art in Paris since her 20s. But she'd always said, when the kids are grown, when I retire. By the time she felt ready, her knees made travel daunting. I wish I'd hungered less for perfection, she wrote, and more for joy. Meet Marge. At 68, she signed up for a beginner's art class on a whim. My first painting looked like a tornado in a crayon factory, she laughed. But she kept going. Now her grandchildren gift her sketchbooks for Christmas, and she sends them homemade masterpieces in return. I'll never be Picasso, she says, but I'm somebody's grandma who paints, and that's enough. Your passion doesn't need a price tag or an audience. It could be gardening, woodworking, or even learning to bake bread. The key? Start before you're ready. Sign up for that community college course. Dust off the harmonica in your closet. Or do what I did. Invite your grandkids to teach you TikTok dances. Turns out, my hips have opinions. The goal isn't mastery. It's to feel alive in your own skin again. Helen never made it to Paris, but guess what? She turned her sunroom into a studio. Now, she paints local landmarks and sends them as postcards to old friends. Took me 70 years to call myself an artist, she wrote. Don't wait that long. Regrets don't come from what we do. They come from what we don't do. The call we silence. The hobby we dismiss. But here's the secret. Someday is a myth. Today is your invitation. And there's still one more regret we need to disarm. One that quietly steals more joy than any other. Until then, why not send that text? Or scribble a doodle? However small, it's a whisper to your future self. I'm still here, and I'm not done. There's a story my grandfather used to tell me. He'd say, son, when you stop adding wood to the fire, it doesn't just go cold. It forgets it was ever flame. For years, I didn't understand what he meant. Then I met Tom. Tom retired at 67 after decades as a high school teacher. He dreamed of lazy mornings and fishing trips. But 6 months in, he told me, I feel like a clock that stopped ticking. I wake up and think, what am I for now? That's our fifth regret, losing your sense of purpose. Not because you want to, but because no one tells you retirement isn't an ending. It's a reinvention. Purpose isn't about changing the world. It's about knowing your presence matters. Tom's breakthrough came when his grandson asked him to fix a broken toy truck. Took me 10 minutes, he said. But that kid looked at me like I'd built the Eiffel Tower. Now, Tom volunteers at a community workshop, teaching teens to carve wood. Turns out, he laughed, retirement was just the first chapter. Here's the thing. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It could be tending a community garden, organizing family photos into albums, or even baking pies for the local fire station. My Aunt Louise, at 72, started a memory cafe at her library, a safe space for folks with dementia to share stories over coffee. I'm not a nurse or a therapist, she says. I'm just a good listener. Actionable step? Ask yourself, what makes me feel needed? Maybe it's mentoring, writing letters to lonely soldiers, or fostering rescue pets. Not sure? Experiment. Join a club for a month. Say yes to that thing you've been curious about. Tom's first woodworking class terrified him. What if the kids think I'm out of touch? But now, He's their favorite YouTube grandpa. Purpose is like this little bird. It doesn't ask you to build a forest, just a single branch to land on. And here's the science. Studies show seniors with a clear sense of purpose have lower risks of heart disease, dementia, and depression. Your mind, body, and spirit thrive when you know you're still part of the story. Tom told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Retirement isn't a vacation. It's a promotion to the role of being yourself, fully." So, what's your next act? However small, it's waiting for you to say yes. Until next time, why not share your gifts, even in ways that feel humble? Because the world needs exactly what you've learned over 60 brilliant years. You know, when I first started talking to retirees about their regrets, I expected sadness, resignation even. But what I found instead was wisdom. A fierce, hard-earned kind of wisdom that says, "I stumbled, but I'm still here, and I want better for you." Clara, Helen, Tom. Their stories aren't about failure. They're blueprints, proof that even regrets can become gifts, if we let them guide us forward. Let's tie this all together. Avoiding retirement regrets isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It's looking at your life and asking, what matters most? Then protecting it like the treasure it is. Your health? That's your ticket to adventures. Your relationships? They're the glue holding your memories together. Your passions and purpose? They're the sparks that keep your soul lit. Here's the simplest advice I can give. Start where you are. Maybe today that's texting an old friend. Maybe it's walking to the mailbox and back. Or maybe it's just sitting quietly, writing one sentence in a notebook. "I don't want to regret," and filling in the blank. My friend Ida did this at 79. Her sentence, "I don't want to regret never seeing the ocean again." So she booked a train ticket, not to Miami or Malibu, but to a lake an hour away. "It had waves," she said. "That was enough." Science tells us that people who frame their goals around avoiding future regrets are 30% more likely to achieve them. Why? Because regret isn't just a feeling. It's a compass. And you're holding that compass right now. So let's make a pact, you and I. Let's promise to check in with ourselves, not just today, but every few months. Ask, am I feeding my relationships or starving them? Am I waiting for someday or claiming today? And when you slip up, because we all do, whisper Tom's mantra, "I'm still the flame," then light it again. Your retirement isn't a checklist. It's a living, breathing story, one only you can write. And the best part? The next chapter starts the moment you choose to turn the page. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story. What's one tiny step you'll take this week to live with no what-ifs? Share it in the comments. Inspire someone else to begin. And if you found this helpful, pass it on. Hit like, share it with a friend, or subscribe for more tools to thrive after 60. Together, let's make retirement the most vibrant season yet. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Now go out there and live a story you'll love to tell.